It wouldn't be a West Ham transfer rumour without a little bit of controversy. But which transfer rumour am I talking about? Well, that's the issue. It could be Callum Wilson. It could be Kyle Walker-Peters. It could be the goalkeeping target. It always seems that there's something going on at West Ham. Anyway, welcome to Geo and Frankie podcast. Thank you very much for joining us. We're going to discuss some of the transfer rumours, take a little look back at the win against Bournemouth. We're going to discuss the Callum Wilson signing and whatever else pops up while we're having a little chin wag. But if you're new to the channel, please do subscribe and also do drop a like on the video as well by clicking the thumbs up button. We could get 1,000 likes. That would make me happy. Would it make you happy, Frankie?
Make me very happy, Gio.
There you go. Make me happy. Make Frankie very happy. Click thumbs up button. Right, Frankie. Let's start with the goalkeeping transfer rumours. For anyone unaware, the latest is it's another update from Fabrizio Romano, which doesn't really say anything else compared to what he previously said. So yesterday, Fabrizio Romano's update was West Ham are in advanced talks for John Victor of Botafogo, the Brazilian goalkeeper. His update late last night was West Ham continue to have advanced talks with Botafogo, but he's basically saying that it's around the structure of the payment. So it sounds like possibly they've come to an agreement on the fee. He does have a release clause, which I think is around about 7-8 million or something like that. It's now just about how we pay that 7-8 million. Botafogo are still in advanced talks with Bournemouth. The problem with advanced talks, Frankie, is subjective, isn't it? We've all got a different understanding of what that means. But Botafogo are talking to Bournemouth about getting Neto. So that's his replacement going to the Brazilian club. So it feels like this one's going to happen, Frankie. You've been a little bit out the loop, if you like, for transfer stuff. So what's your take on this?
Yeah, by choice, Gio. By choice. I've for the past few years just taken the decision to just avoid as much transfer rumours as possible. The roller coaster of transfer rumours isn't something that I particularly enjoy, only I think because the way West Ham do business. I think if there's any other club, transfer rumours are exciting. It's the thing that kind of entertains you throughout when the season's finished and the transfer window opens. It's a way that you build excitement for the new season. But I just get frustrated by it all and how we do things. So I've just sort of said, look, I'm not going to let myself get emotionally invested in transfers where West Ham's concerned, and only really sort of start paying attention when it seems like something is pretty much signed, sealed and delivered. But it does seem like this one's serious. We knew, I think, because of the amount of rumours that were surrounding goalkeepers, it was something that we were obviously looking to go and get a deal done on. But again, how many have we gone through? We've had so many targets, and I don't know. This guy, I'm hoping that, he's a goalkeeping talent. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I know anything about him whatsoever. But it just feels to me a little bit like it's first, second, third, fourth, fifth target kind of thing. It seems like we've gone through so many other options that we were interested in, and now we've ended up in Brazil, somewhere where there probably isn't as much competition versus the keepers that we've been trying to attract previously. And it seems like it's just same old West Ham, really. But I hope that I'm wrong on that, and hopefully he's a bit of a talent. I think we all are sitting here now thinking that it's not necessarily a keeper that we need for the long term anymore. With the way Areola's been in pre-season, I think it's a keeper that you want to come in and almost be trying to take that number one shirt from day dot. Is he that man? I don't know, Gio.
Yeah, the thing is, I've got a few pros about this possible transfer, likely transfer, and I've also got a few cons. And I think there's a little bit of Callum Wilson-itis attached to it, which is because we've signed Wilson, I think I've almost got this pent-up frustration with David Sullivan, anger with David Sullivan, if you like, over the Wilson deal, that it's when this one's come around, it's almost like, well, because of what he'd done with Callum Wilson, is this another type of those deals? And I think if we hadn't signed Wilson, I think my attitude towards this one might be slightly different. But I don't think the leaks or the rumours around the rumour helps here. I think they're actually quite detrimental to West Ham's pursuit. So if you said to me, so here's the pros, right? I've listened to people who watch South American football talking about, we call him John now, Frankie. His name's John Victor, and I keep getting muddled up. I've called him Victor John on occasion, so we're just going to call him John, right? He's now called John. So I've listened to South American journalists who know John, and they seem quite keen on him. They're bigging him up, saying, actually, yeah, he's a little bit of a late bloomer as a goalkeeper, and he's got his reflexes. He gets down really quickly. He's got a big frame. He's quick off his line. Really good at closing down one-on-ones. So I'm thinking, all right, this sounds positive. It's almost getting my hopes up a little bit. And if it came out that Casper Ankergin and Kyle McCauley had decided this is the goalkeeper and Potter's given it the stamp of approval, I think I'd be all for it, right? I'd be like, oh, brilliant. So we found a goalkeeper that's 7-8 million. I know he's 29, but to me, that's young for a goalkeeper. You can go until their mid-30s, late 30s and stuff. So I'm not too offended by a goalkeeper that's 29 years old. But if it's low cost, I'd be a bit on board with it. Do you know what I mean, Frankie? A bit like, is this what we're doing? Are we finding value here? So that's the pros, really. Like I said, I've said previously, I won't say it again after this podcast. I've never heard of him, but I've seen him play. I just didn't realise I'd seen him play. I watched the Club World Cup. He was in goal at the Club World Cup. We got linked to him. I thought, I've never heard of this guy. I looked him up. I thought, oh, I've seen him play. I just didn't realise I'd seen him play. So I don't really have an opinion on the goalkeeper. I don't have an opinion on him. I've seen some of the clips going round of his mistakes, but I can make a video of any goalkeeper in the world making mistakes. I can go find mistakes that Ederson's made, Alisson's made. I can go find some mistakes by them if you want. So it's easy to make a video of goalkeeper making howlers. They all make them. They're the last line of defence. They make a mistake. Usually, it results in conceding a goal. You could go make a highlights reel of a striker missing a load of one-on-ones, but you don't, do you? Because the consequences are it's a goal kick. It's not the end of the world. Goalkeeper makes one. It's usually quite... Well, you look at Areola against Man U, conceded a penalty, and then you booted at Manu, and it ended up in the back of the net about 10 seconds later. So my pros are him himself. I'm all right with it. The transfer itself, I feel like I'm removing the context here. I'm okay with that. But here's the cons, and this is where I think transfer rumors can sometimes be a little bit bad, and also don't like the fact that this information around this deal came out after. So we hadn't been linked to him at all. Friday, Fabrizio Romano puts out exclusive West Ham have made a bid for him, right? That's the first time we'd heard about this guy. And then it comes out from the West Ham side of things. Oh, yeah, that's right. And, oh, by the way, we're looking to bring in a goalkeeper to compete with Areola, not replace Areola. And I think that's a very dangerous thing to put out there, because what it tells me and other people who don't know who John is, it basically says this guy's not that good. This guy's not coming in and straight away he's going to dunt Areola at the team. If we signed Hermansen, I'd feel confident he's number one next season because I know him. I know how good he is. I'd be thinking that's our goalkeeper. Brilliant. But because that rumour's come out, which is he's coming in to compete with, not to replace, it makes you think he's obviously not very good then, is he? Right? Well, why are you getting him in if he's not going to replace him? Compete. We don't want someone to compete. We want someone to replace. We had someone competing with him last season in Fabianski. So if all you wanted was someone on par with Areola, we already had one, right? And then we get told from West Ham side of things again, it's agent-led, and Willie Mackay's brought this guy to the attention of David Sullivan, essentially. Now, I've seen some people suggest maybe that's happened. McCauley and Ankergin's had a look and said, actually, you know what? That's a good goalkeeper. That if that agent can get him for that price, bring him in. But because of David Sullivan, it's hard for me to believe that. It's hard for me to subscribe to the idea that an agent's alerted West Ham to his goalkeeper. Our scouting team, our goalkeeping department has had a look and said, get him in. And this is why I'm going to call it Callum Wilsonitis, because we know Sullivan has a tendency to do deals that can sometimes be influenced by certain agents. And Willie Mackay is someone that Sullivan's done business with in the past. So while it's not a Will Salthouse, it's not someone that's a stranger to David Sullivan. But because of the Callum Wilsonitis, it's hard for me to not go, are we signing him because of who's involved, or are we signing him because... Basically, my big question is, which is unanswered at present, is who wants this guy? Is it Sullivan that's saying, hey, get him in, good goalkeeper? Or is it Macaulay/Anchor again that's saying, good goalkeeper, let's get him in. Because if it's the latter, Frankie, I'm happy with this deal. If I knew or believed that it was Potter/Macaulay/Anchor again that's identified him and want him, I'm 100% get him in, just like I was with El Hadji Malik Diouf. Never heard of him, but because I believe Macaulay and Potter wanted him, I 100% wanted Diouf, because I think it's important that they are the ones that identify the transfer targets. But if it's Sullivan that's leading this, then I'm reluctant to be keen on this transfer. Does that make sense? So my point is, the stuff that's been leaked by the West Ham side of things, I think it's quite a bit dangerous, actually, because what they're telling us is it's agent-led and he's coming in to compete, not replace. That does not portray this goalkeeper in a good light, and the poor bugger's not even put gloves on yet. So I'm trying to be fair and say he might be good. I'll wait and see, and I will wait and see. But the noise around it doesn't make me feel comfortable.
No, and I also, Joe, he damn well better be ready to step up and make it in the Premier League, because I think if that's true, what you just said, I just see Areola going on the turn a little bit. I felt like he's already made a few rumbles before where he sort of started hinting at a move away.
Yeah.
And I'm just a little bit like, he's sort of waited his time after Fabianski. He's now become the number one. You're now bringing in this guy. Is Areola the sort of character that I think is going to go, do you know what? I'm going to make this mine. I'm going to be resilient. I'm going to show you what I'm made of. I just don't believe that's the character that he is. I think actually goes on the turn. And it could quite quickly go backwards and then if he don't work out and then Areola's unhappy, it causes an absolute disaster.
Yeah. To pick you up on that, I said this on my Tart and Geo video yesterday. I'm trying to remember where I said it because I don't want to repeat if I said on Hammer's Chat. I didn't. I said on Tart and Geo. My own YouTube channel, little plug, right? Frankie, do you recommend it?
It's fantastic.
You're
I love the alternative content from West Ham. It's brilliant.
Thank you. 5,000 subscribers. Here we go. Anyway. I said on there in relation to the goalkeeper's name that my brain doesn't like saying, from Newcastle, Dubravka. He's off to Burnley. Anyway, his other half did it. Areola's other half did it. And as they put stuff up on social media, having a swipe. So remember, his missus was basically saying, why is he not won Hammer of the Year? What's going on? You know, when Bowen won it 2 years ago, it was almost like, nah, Areola's Hammer of the Year, thank you. And there's been a few cryptic messages from Mrs. Areola regarding Areola's treatment at West Ham. And I could be wrong, of course, but I always believe it's from the player itself. Whenever I see something from Mrs. Footballer, I think, do you really do that without sort of running it by Mr. Footballer, right? Because so Mrs. Areola, in this case, putting that up, will know that could put Mr. Areola in a spot of bother. He's got to go back to the club tomorrow. Everyone knows his missus just dug out West Ham and had to swipe at whoever involved. And I just think, would you do that without just saying? So to me, whenever I see a post by a footballer's partner, I always think it's just the footballer himself, but he can't put it up. Areola couldn't post, why have I not won Ham of the Year? Bowen, he can't do that. But Mrs. Areola can. There's plausible deniability there from Areola to go, I didn't know she was going to do that. She's her own woman. She says what she wants. That's her opinion. It's not mine. But I just think, is it though? Because would your missus put it up there without your knowledge, knowing that it's going to cause a little bit of aggro for you potentially? So when Mrs. Areola historically has maybe complained about Areola's being dropped or whatever, sometimes I think it's maybe Areola that's doing it just via Mrs. Areola's social media. Am I a million miles away, or do you think there's
No, you're spot on. And I know absolutely women have their own voice, and the wives are always going to have their own take and own opinion on things. And they have more of a voice than I think ever before. But there's no way that when the amount of money's involved, when the contracts we're talking about are involved, when just how much depends on football now and how much just money is, there's no way that a professional footballer allows those types of things to come out if it's not if they're not on board or on a similar page.
Yeah.
It's just.
Yeah.
I
Anyway,
think I just believe that he is a man who just is a little bit volatile.
it's a good point, though. We are going to bring someone in, and our intention is to retain Areola and play them off against each other. Like you said, if John starts games very quickly, you might find a guy that you were hoping to keep actually once out as well, and then you're back into the same position, which is
It's all right as long as the new guy works out.
Yeah.
If the new guy don't take to the Premier League, and then you got one who wants off and one who can't cut it, then you are in a bad old situation. So
I seen a transfer rumor before we came on this morning. Ben Doak, Aston Wolves being linked to him, Liverpool winger. You're nodding. You know him?
Yeah, I know of Ben Doak through collectible world and sports cards and stuff, and he's always been someone that they've really liked. My data analyst who works from here sometimes is a big Liverpool fan, and I always sort of, when there's a new crop of youngsters coming through, always sort of get his opinion on whether he thinks they're going to make it or not.
You want to get your hands on those real cards at Liverpool. I don't know
Yes.
how to pronounce his surname. My word, he looks good.
Yeah, he does. So there's a few of them. I mean, how many have we been linked to?
And what about Dorman of Arsenal? You're getting his cards at the minute as well.
Yeah. Actually, one of his coaches is coming down to train my boys for the pre-season. He's the man who sort of brought him through. He's the advanced development coach at Arsenal, and he's coming down to put my boys through their paces to getting them ready for the new season. So I'd love if he could bring him down and inspire the boys. I'd love to see him. And yeah, he's a talent. He is, and a lot of the boys' dads all comment on him, and you know, he's definitely on the radar. But how many times have we seen these boys that are on the radar? You know, my mate was a bit iffy about some of the other ones, Connor Bradley, but Doak was one that he thought was a guy who would stick around. He fancied him as being someone who would, you know, challenge for the first team and almost be, the pick of the crop, like I have been before with George Urphy and stuff like that, you know. But look at where Mubama's ended up now. So, it doesn't always work out, does it? But, you know, this is one of the ones that he really firmly believed in. And I like him too. I think he's a good player. But, I mean, we're linked with so many from Liverpool. I just don't know how much. Is it that we've been spending a lot of time watching their crop of youngsters who might become available, and we kind of had Harvey Elliot as someone that we were sort of earmarking, and then if that all breaks down, then we've got this other one that we sort of was the backup or the second choice, a bit like Guilherme was when we was out in scouting out there. I don't know. How much do I believe it again? These boys are very, very talented kids, and again, I just think they, coming from Liverpool, Geo, they have a fantastic environment when they're coming through, training facilities, how they get treated. Ben Doak has featured for Liverpool. He has had little sniffs at opportunities there. And I don't know, if you was one of them boys and you look over to West Ham at the moment and we're in a slightly better place than we were before, in terms of the fact that Skulls did get a bit of game time last season. But that's all they could really go on. I don't think they can go on much more. And if they look at West Ham there and you just think, well, am I actually going to get a chance, or is it going to be the same old tried and tested players that are going to play? How much would he fancy it? I don't know.
Yeah, I think Potter can point to it, though, and say, I didn't have Potts and Earth. They were out on loan when I arrived. There's nothing I could do.
And that's absolutely fine. But it was still your choice at the beginning. And I know Potter came in halfway through, but and I don't know the terms of their loans and everything else.
I think there was definitely an expiry date on Potts, and it wasn't lasting January. I can't recall exactly. I think it was maybe a week after Potter arrived.
Yes, because we spoke about it, didn't we?
Yeah. So Potter had about a week to recall Potts if he wanted to, and he decided. And do you know what? I think it was the right decision, Frankie. Leave him playing week in, week out with Portsmouth.
It definitely done wonders for him, didn't it? And if you've got a player who's playing well and we said it at the time, if you've got a player who's having forward momentum, regardless of whether we're being a bit selfish and wanting to bring him back to West Ham, if he would have played a game or a couple of games or come on as a sub, not quite done well enough and then vanished again for the rest of the season, then that wouldn't have helped him at all. In fact, you've stopped his momentum. So I completely agree with that. But look, do you believe that David Sullivan, whether it be Macaulay or whether it be whoever gets involved in the conversations at the moment, do you believe that because you've got nothing to go on, you can't point and go, well, look at what we did with him. You know, we've brought him through. We gave him an opportunity. He's now a regular, you know, Premier League starter.
I disagree. I think not at West Ham. I think he can point at Brighton and say, look at Brighton. We were often taking young players through and growing their profile and turning them into regulars in the Premier League. We were taking them from abroad. We're bringing them through, whatever. We're taking young players into the first team environment. So I think there is evidence there, albeit I will agree, not at West Ham yet. In regards to the Ben Doak thing, I don't believe it. I don't believe the transfer rumour. I'm a big fan of Ben Doak. Obviously, I've got interest in him because of Scotland. Looked good at Middlesbrough on loan last season. When we played Croatia, he tore Gvardiol a new one. Gvardiol was left back for Croatia. Ben Doak played right wing for Scotland. And he absolutely tore him a new one for the duration of the game. He just kept going past him. I haven't seen someone do that to Gvardiol in the Premier League. And I thought this kid is so direct, so exciting, fast, very quick with his feet. But there's two problems here. Problem one, he's 30 million. Forget it. Problem two, he's a right winger. Now, I appreciate people will say, well, hang on a minute, you really want Elliot? I think Elliot can be converted to a number 8, number 10, right? Ben Doak can't. He is a winger. There's no moving him elsewhere. His whole game is based on one-on-one with the fullback and taking on the fullback, going to the byline. You're not going to get that elsewhere on the pitch, so he has to play it wide. So when I saw the room, I thought, oh, so what are we going to do here then? And the only way I could see it, and I don't believe this, but I'm just discussing it hypothetically. This is how my brain works. The only way I could see it possibly happening is if we did sign Ben Doak, is that once Somerville's back, we'll have Somerville and Doaks on either side and bonus striker. But I don't want to see that. But I think we can agree that Potter rates and likes Bowen as a striker. So then Doak's coming in would allow us to have two really fast, direct wingers and Bowen in the middle of the two of them and maybe go to a bit of a box midfield in that sense. Because our out of possession pressing is non-existent. And I think a large part of it is because we don't have any press from the wide positions. So it's constantly for the opponent, as we've seen against Bournemouth, just pop it to the fullback. They're always free. There's no one marking them. Our wing backs have got their wingers and our centre midfielders are central. They're in the middle of the pitch. So the fullbacks are constantly just free. So if you went to box midfield, you can then start to apply a little bit of pressure to the fullbacks. But do I believe that will happen? No. So I've seen a transfer rumour. I think he will leave Anfield. He's been linked with moves away in January. There's a couple of clubs went in for him around about the £20 million mark. And it's a hefty profit for Liverpool. And obviously they are expected to sign Isak, so the more money they can recoup now, the better. Nunez is obviously likely to go to Saudi, but Doak's another one that's worth 30 million. And well, selling a player for 30 million who wasn't part of your squad last season, it's not bad business, is it? They'll it's a bit like what Chelsea are doing. So would I like Doak at West Ham? Actually, no. No, I wouldn't.
I would, Geo, and I'll tell you why I would, because of what you just said. I still haven't seen a plan B. I haven't seen a plan B. And I'm getting really frustrated watching the pre-season stuff and just doing the same thing, but with different players. And it's just rinse and repeat. And I just feel that if we're going to treat the next season the way he's treated pre-season, that we're going to keep exactly the same shape. We're going to play the same way in every single match that we roll out against. Every single team, we're going to approach it in exactly the same way. I just think we're going to come unstuck really, really quickly. And I want to see, I want to see something different. And like you said, I think he does fancy Bowen as the central striker or a striker in a two. We haven't seen him. I mean, he naturally pulls out to the right at times when he plays in the front two, which is fine. But we've never really, well, we haven't seen a system where there is the Bowen natural position that we all think he's best in. So on that sense, I just want to see a backup plan. And I'm not saying you sign Ben Doak as a complete backup plan, but certainly if you're playing, I don't know, if you're playing one of the teams that are likely to be relegated, not a strongest, not a top 6, not a top 10 Premier League side, are we going to approach it with every single game a flat back 5 doing the same thing? So I would love to see, we've all been screaming for it, 4-3-3. Does Ben Doak give us, like you said, that Doak, Somerville, Bowen? How exciting is that? Pace to burn. Like, that gives people problems and things to think about.
Or even if you had Bowen on the right, Somerville on the left, and Fulkrug up front, you mean you've got Doak on the bench who can play on the left if he has to, but ideally on the right. You've got options there. And also what it would do, it creates a position for Guilherme. Because at the minute, I think I don't want to really see him as a wing back. And he's not a striker, and he's not a midfielder. So where he can play, whether it be out wide or as a number 10, we're not playing either. So at the minute, there's just nowhere for him, really. He's going to have to be majorly out of position. So I think if you were to switch and incorporate wingers, suddenly Guilherme's now got an opportunity to play. And I appreciate Ben Doak coming in would be in the way of Guilherme, but I think there would be enough room for both of them as well as Somerville. And we're obviously just hanging our hat on the fact that Somerville will come back and remain 100% fit for the season, which I think is always a risky bet. Because at the minute, I think our risky bet at the minute, I feel like we're gambling on Fulkrug being fit for the entire season. And it makes me nervous. I think at times next season, we might find that our options are either Wilson and Bowen, Marshall and Bowen, Paqueta and Bowen, or we go Bowen up front on his own. And therefore, if you're going to do that, then what you're doing elsewhere in the team to work with that. And I think maybe having that winger. So I was going to say no to Ben Doak, but because A, it's a lot of money for someone I'm not convinced Potter would play because we don't play with a winger. But B, also, as a Scotland fan, I want Ben Doak to make sure he gets the right move because he's our future. So I need him to go on, fulfill his potential and become like an elite winger. And I think a move to West Ham perhaps wouldn't be the best club.
Club before country, Geo. Club before country.
I'm both. I'm both. I understand why when people start shouting. I understand why, but I've always been a big country fan as well as a big club fan. It's maybe it's easier for me to separate because it's Scotland and West Ham. I don't know. There's not really a crossover. A bit of Robert Snodgrass and Andy Irving now and again. Malky Mackay, but apart from that, there's not too many.
Christian Daly,
of course. How would I forget him? I'd like to forget Malky Mackay. Anyway, right then, should we leave it there, Frankie? Anything else you want to discuss before we head off?
No, all good, Geo. Do you know what I'd like to talk about in
Go on.
A future video? I'd like to talk about that Antonio interview. I think it was quite interesting, some of the things that he said, and I'd love to get your breakdown of that. So,
I've not watched it yet, so I would discuss it now, but I've not watched it yet. So I will do my homework, and then once I've watched it, we'll sit down and discuss it amongst other things. But anyway, you guys at home, massive thank you. Thank you as always. You're listening now. You made it half an hour of me and Frankie talk about essentially 2 transfer rumors, really. That's for someone who doesn't like transfer rumors. He don't half mind discussing them, does he? But thank you very much. Please do drop a like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Myself and Frankie, we'll catch you in a bit.